Welcome back to another episode of Wait, I'm a Mom. I'm Alicia A. West, and today's guest is Nneka Elliot. You probably have seen her. Like, this is an OG. You are in the media game, you're an OG.
Yep.
Really, truly. She
Yep.
used to be on CP24. Now you can see her on all these different channels doing like segments. Do you have specific city TV or like specific?
I was Marilyn Dennis specifically, and
Yeah.
then now I just do a lot of morning show, whether it's
Yeah.
BT or CHCH.
As an expert.
I bounce around, exactly.
Yes. And then you're also an actress.
Something.
I've seen you a couple of times, like watching something. I'm like,
Yes.
her.
I'm most often the reporter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
right?
so funny.
I'm like, listen, this is my niche. I'm gonna double down.
Yeah,
Right?
So the most recent is Code 8, right?
Yeah.
And you're a
Code 8, 1
reporter
and 2.
there,
Yes,
as well.
That's right, a reporter. But I'd say that's probably my biggest role yet, in the sense that I have more of a depth of a character. I'm not just like using it for exposition in the show. So that was a really cool experience.
I love that. I have yet to watch it. I need to watch it though.
Yeah, you like
It's on my
it.
list.
You
So
like
do I
it.
need to watch the first part before I watch the second?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
Because that's what I was thinking. And I
You
was
could
like,
just jump in. Although when it first premiered,
yeah.
it was number 1 and 2 around the world. I think it was globally the top movie for a week, which was ridiculous on Netflix. But people were watching the new one and then going back and checking out the first. But yeah.
I love that. I'm definitely going to check it out. Everyone else, you should watch
Yes,
it too.
please
Code
do.
8 Part 2. And you're also a mom to Rain.
Yes.
She's 3.5 years old now.
Yep, that's right. I always mix up the 3. When is she going to be 3.5? Almost, yeah, born in November.
Okay, yes. Close enough. She's almost there. She's
Exactly.
in that 3 range, you know?
Girl,
It gets
yeah.
kind of blurry after a year.
The whole thing, to be honest.
That's very true.
Three-nager for sure.
Yeah. So the first thing we kick it off with is the wine down. And so today we're drinking some Cab Sav.
Yes.
And I poured you a glass already.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So during the wind down, I really want to speak about your peak and your pit of the week. Okay, so the pit is something that didn't go necessarily as planned. You had like a rough moment. And then the peak is the highlight, the thing that made you the most happiest, exciting, or groundbreaking. So it doesn't have to be something the pit doesn't have to be crazy. It
Right.
could be, I don't know, Rain stubbed her toe.
Exactly. Oh my goodness, what day is it? I'm like, what is going on? What
That
did I
too.
do this week? That's
Sometimes
so,
a blur, right?
it is, and
Yeah.
I really have to try and be more mindful and do a better job of even writing things down like that. You know what I mean? This week, something I was really proud of, I sent an invoice for one of my biggest partnership
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
that I had negotiated myself, and
Yeah.
so it was a pretty big one. So I
Yeah.
was really proud of myself for that. Sending off that invoice.
You're like, yes,
Mm-hmm.
give me some money.
Yes. What's a pit? I don't know. It's always something with these children, Alicia.
I believe
Always
that.
something. But I've been trying to. I say I'm in my glow up era, in the sense that not just physically, but also just mentally trying to streamline things a little bit more. Rain is going to be going to big school in September.
Time
And
flies.
so, listen, what is time? What is this
I don't
time you
know.
speak of?
I don't know. It's pretty ghetto. Like the way that they've structured things, it's like, are you sure? It's like, who told you that this is how it actually works? You know, like
Listen, and
It's
so
weird.
I've been at home with her this whole time, and so I have to start to rediscover,
Yes.
reinvent more seriously, right? And so there are things that I've been wanting to do that I've been facing a few roadblocks mentally, kind of just trying to push through and do something different.
yeah.
And so just a little bit of that. So nothing really specific. It's
Yeah.
just the constant battle in your mind at times when you're working through something. And I'm somebody who I spend a lot of time processing. So I'm really trying to cut down that that processing time between the thought and the actual doing.
I hear you on that.
So yeah.
I will think of something that I want to do, and then it will take me forever because I need to like talk myself out of all the reasons why I shouldn't do it, even though I know I should do it, you know? And it takes so much longer.
As I get older, for whatever reason, you know, the more you know,
Yeah.
right? When you're much younger, it's kind of like just jump, just go,
Yes.
let's do it, figure it out.
Yeah.
But then you have all these responsibilities now, and everything you have to run through a filter in terms of, is this the best thing for me and my family? Is this, you know? And so that definitely gives you pause and even more processing time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Once you add in that kid factor and it's no longer just you that you have depending on you, because even when you get married, it's like, okay, but they're still their own individual person. So if you were to make a decision that you felt was best for you, it's okay. But now that you have a little one, you're like, okay, is it best for them? And then is it best for me? You have to put there how it could impact them just a little bit higher.
Totally.
Yeah. I'm very happy about you're happy about your invoice because you know, especially because you negotiated yourself. So did you used to use like a management or something?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I went back and forth. I've been doing influencing. I mean, I left, you mentioned broadcasting officially in 2016. I can't believe it's that long. And I've been dabbling in the digital world with the YouTube, and then landed more on Instagram and doing partnerships and so forth. And so I went back and forth between having managers and having like influencer agencies and so forth. So I have a lot of experience doing it on my own, 100%. But once I had Rain, that became very difficult to spend the time that is required to kind of negotiate contracts, go through things, make sure that everything is what it's supposed to be, pitching. It's just
pitching
really
that
hard,
takes a long time,
right?
for sure.
Yeah, I got to a point where I just wasn't pitching. I did not pitch at all. And so, I mean, in general, I've definitely scaled back in terms of work, so to speak. Like since having Rain, I did that purposely because it's just not possible for me. It's just not possible. And I also, something just clicked. When she was born, I was just like, I always say to people that every role that I've taken on, and I started as a reporter anchor before we got woke, you know, before, you know, that kind of vibes. Where before I didn't even realize what was happening to me in terms of some of the struggles and obstacles. So I've always had imposter syndrome for a lot of things, even becoming a content creator. I always feel like, oh, people are going to think of me as this girl who's a reporter now trying to do this thing. I always feel like an outsider, which is something
but
that
you're not.
I'm not. I know that
you're
now.
You're very much a part of it.
I know that now, but definitely there was that feeling. But I never, when the minute Rain was born, I was like, this is it. Like, I feel like so sure. When I tell this story a lot, that when they placed her on my chest, I just felt a surety that I'd never felt in any other role that I had taken on.
Oh, that's so
and
beautiful.
So because of that, I just was like, this brings me so much happiness. Like, what am I trying to do here? Like, what is, everything else comes into question. And you just question all the things that I had done. And you know what it's like to have a bag of jobs. You know what that's like, right?
Yes, I carry a bunch, a handful at least.
And it was part of my identity for so long. And I was just so used to just hustling and pushing and making things happen on your own. People don't understand, Alicia. Like, I give you props for just like turning things out of nothing. You know?
I try. And I do agree. Like, for me, I guess it was the opposite. I had a part of my life where I was struggling with my identity after, I guess when I was pregnant and then like leading, I guess the end of my pregnancy and then leading into like the postpartum phase, I really struggled with it because I didn't know what was going to come next, right? I knew that I was on maternity leave. I knew I had to go back to a job that I kind of fell into, like my full-time job. I fell into it during the pandemic, and I knew that was going to be different. And I was like, okay, how is my life going to change? And if I
100.
wanted to get back into radio, I figured I'd have to go to the States again. But you can't do that when you have a partner, and then your partner has another child on top of that, because he's not going to want to leave his like 8-year-old daughter. And so these are things that I constantly thought about, and not feeling enough, and feeling like, oh, maybe some people forgot about me. Because when you're quiet and you're not posting that much on social, or you're not out in the streets, then it's like, where are you? You know, back of mind.
Yep.
And so I really, really struggled for a moment with that. But I feel a lot better now.
Listen, just because I'm sure in my role as a mother, it does not mean that all those things you mentioned
Don't
still plague me. Still.
Yeah.
Because I had a major conflict between wanting to be present and at home with my daughter, but then also so knowing that I think also, especially as a Black woman, you feel that there is a time frame on your opportunity. And when you see, like you said, everybody else kind of doing their thing and people are progressing, and you feel that pressure.
Yeah.
You can't step away. And we know how it works, right? You have to be the visibility, right? But I burn out them things daily. I burn it out.
Yeah. No, it's good that you're able to do it, because essentially if we keep hustling and keep trying to be out there, we're going to burn ourselves out, because having a child is another layer. It's another job, and it's probably the most demanding of them all. And so it's okay if we do take some time to, you know, figure things out. We don't have to be like those celebrities that pop the babies out and just go.
Right.
It is perfectly fine with taking some time. And I think it's really beautiful that you've been able to have this time with your daughter, because you get to know her in different ways that you might not have known her if you were just hustling and out there.
True.
When you quit CP24, was that, I read somewhere that you were like, you were on a train and you wanted to go to A, but you were going to like B or something like that.
Right.
So did you kind of just land in the news world?
Not really. I always knew I wanted to be a storyteller and be on air. To be honest, I wanted to get into kids television. I was always, you know, I'm an animated person.
Yeah. I love that.
That was always my kids TV or something more personality driven.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I went to Ryerson, TMU, and one of my teachers was like, oh, I was taking a performance class, and one of my teachers said, oh, you should try for this internship. It's in radio. I think you have a good voice or whatever. And then I tried for the internship. It was news talk, radio. And I got the internship, and then I was just like, let's do this. Yeah. Let's continue. Let's progress. And you just quickly get wrapped into the whole world. I'm not saying that I didn't want to be a journalist. I definitely had all the markings of a journalist, but it wasn't my first
and maybe not
thought.
Like hard news.
Correct.
At that, right?
Correct. I mean, as a kid, I used to pretend to be broad news people. I grew up in the Caribbean in St. Vincent. So I would just put on my own radio shows and say, good morning, you're on the line calling in. Now tell me, what is the problem? What's the problem in your area? And I'd be like, listen, the pipe stopped working and I need them to come and fix it. So I used to pretend I would be all the characters. But I think I mistakenly thought it was the platform was news, but it's like I'm doing all these voices. Yeah. Right? And
so
it's like
it should be within, you could do voiceover work, you could do acting. You could do that type of stuff. You don't have to be on the news.
Right. So but you know, I digress, but it's a big part of what I became and news. But it also was part of this whole, it started my identity issues for sure.
Because you also started really young. Right? Like early 20s?
Like I think, I graduated, I don't know. I don't want to, oh, I forget. How old are you?
Me?
Yes.
I'm 34.
Okay, right. Okay. I'm 40.
Yeah.
And then, so my first year out of university, I was working at the Weather Network, so in broadcasting.
Yes.
So like, I guess 22, 23.
Yeah, that's really young.
Yeah.
Because like, a lot of people, especially within the TV world, radio world, they
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily get their dream job right out of school, right?
Yeah.
It takes a while.
Yep.
It takes like moving to different places as well to eventually come back. And
Mm-hmm.
I just remember you being on the news all the time. And you were just a staple. I did so many different projects where I'd have to like include your name because I'm like,
Really?
yes,
Oh
because there
gosh.
wasn't. I mean, we've come a lot further now when I
Yes.
watch
Really?
like
Have
24.
we? Have we?
It looks like it sometimes. But I'm like, there's a lot of new faces on there. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, Black girls. Like, I don't know inside, behind the scenes
know,
at
I
that
know.
building. I don't
I
know
know.
what's going on over there. But it's a little bit further compared to maybe when you were doing it when it was
For
like
sure.
1 or 2, you know?
For sure.
So I just commend you for that
Thank you.
because having somebody like you inspired people like me. And now I hope that I can do the same thing for anybody who's coming up and trying to go to school and try to figure their way, that they can too be
Yep.
like, okay, I can do it because I see representation.
That's what it's all about.
There's not that much.
Representation. That's what
At least
it's
on the
all
radio
about.
side.
No, I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that whole representation piece too. We could do a whole other podcast about
Yeah, for
that
sure.
stuff. Trust, but I think there's a lot of pressure too that comes with it. Even when I decided to move on to something else, because then I felt like people were like, "What's she gonna do next? What's she going to do? What's going to happen?"
Of course.
Right? And
It's like, what's the next move? It has to
Exactly.
be something bigger.
Precisely. And then for a long time, I was caught up on this whole idea of every time I'd meet somebody, I'd say, "Yeah, things are going great. I'm making so much more money now." And I'm like, why do I have to say that?
Yeah.
Like, yes, the money is different, it's better.
Yeah.
But that's not the reason why I wanted to leave.
Yeah.
I feel more fulfilled now. I have an independence. I'm grateful. Say what you want about social media, but it has allowed me an opportunity, an independence to be able to do my own thing. And then now I'm even more grateful for it to be able to be at home with
yes,
Rain, right?
yes.
Like it just, I don't know.
When I went back off of maternity leave and I had to go back to my full-time job, it was in the office 4 days a week and, you know, all day. I was having a hard time because I'm like, when am I going to see my daughter?
Yeah.
It was, so I understand being home. I prefer it now, even though she still isn't always home during the week. She goes to my mom's house.
Yeah, your mom, I mean.
Yeah, because she's not in daycare either. So she'll just go to my mom's house and she'll spend a couple of days there. But knowing that I could be home by like 9:30 and then me and her can do our regular day like we would have done when I was on mat leave, I really love it. I think it's great to be able, especially in this time, right? Maybe as she grows older and she goes to school, then it's like, okay, free up time and you could potentially do more things within the day, but I like it, you know?
I love that for you. And I love the involvement of your mom and that support
Grateful.
system. Like
Yeah.
it's like we went through it, like my husband and I in
Because you don't have a support system here, really?
our parents are older. And that's the thing too that I talk about having kids a little bit later in life. And I know that more and more that is going to be the case for many people.
Yeah.
Because of, listen, the economy, first of all, and just careers and choice. And people are just having babies later and later.
Yeah.
And that's A-okay. But I didn't do a lot of thought into how that choice would, and I shouldn't say choice because it did take us a little while to have a kid, like I was trying. So it's like, you know, having a kid a little bit later, having older parents, having to be thinking about just certain things regarding their health and well-being and some of the decisions that you need to be making as a child with your parents, to also be doing it with a young kid.
It can pull you a lot of different ways.
Hits different.
Yeah.
That plus perimenopause.
Yeah.
Having a kid later in life when I'm like, wait, is this perimenopause or is this like after like postpartum situation. Like, what is going on, really?
So your body's just kind of like all over the place. Like, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed
Yes.
to enter menopause?
And some of the symptoms are very similar to, changes in hormones. I breastfed for a long time.
Yes.
So there's those things that happen. There's the fatigue. There is, just general mental health things. All of the symptoms are the exact same.
As postpartum.
Right?
Oh, man.
So it's like,
there's no definitive, like you really don't know
very
until
confusing.
You're out of the woods. And out of the woods for postpartum, usually it takes like 2 years to be real.
Well, this is it. And I am very firm about timeline when it comes to motherhood. I feel like there's so many timelines that are forced on us through the medical system, through society, because they paint the motherhood with one brush.
Yeah.
And everybody has different experiences, whether it be your job, your race, your belief system, your trauma, how you process things. All of these things impact how long it's going to take you to quote unquote feel like yourself again.
Yeah.
And I think I beat myself up a lot because I was measuring my progress on other people's timelines, when in actuality, you should be looking at your own situation, right?
Yeah.
You can't measure where you are based on somebody else. And progress looks different to everybody, right? In every situation.
Because I know I had it rough after I gave birth to Nola. So for me, I'm just like, when I speak to other moms or people who are about to have a baby, like, don't worry if you don't feel okay in the first couple of months.
Yeah.
You know?
Or years.
Yeah.
Like we need to stop this months and weeks and years.
It's a huge adjustment for your first
huge.
time ever.
And it's okay if it takes years. Like I'm telling you, because of, I was breastfeeding, I had all these different things. Don't forget, like I got pregnant pandemic.
Yeah.
Deep shutdown.
Yeah.
Like we found out we were pregnant. I remember, I forget. Yeah. I think it was like early March or something.
Yes.
COVID talk was just starting to loom.
Yes.
And found out I was pregnant. I remember a couple days after that, I was on a set for a commercial. We were shooting a commercial, and I was so paranoid because they hadn't started to do all the necessary things to protect it, to protect people from potentially getting COVID. And I had a big fight with the makeup artist because I knew I was pregnant, but I hadn't really told anybody yet. And she's sharing all the makeup stuff. And I was like, listen, can you please... This is the climate we're in now. Can you, and she got vexed with me. And the grocery store, this is the time when people were taking everything out
rating
from the groceries.
and
so
wearing gloves. And
it was just...
Some people were dressed in the whole hazmat
Remember?
suit.
What is that? Life is not...
Some people were so wild. It's really crazy that we
was
had to
one of
go
them.
through that.
It's ridiculous. I was definitely one of them because being pregnant, going through the pandemic.
I get that.
For my first pregnancy, as well as during the racial reckoning, so to speak,
Stressful.
It was very hard because there were things that were coming up for me that I had repressed and things that I didn't even realize that was part of my story that I had internalized as being a problem with me. That came to the surface for me to realize it was race, it was racism, it was, So dealing with that, not wanting to stress myself out while I was pregnant, having a platform as a content creator, wanting to say something, not having the words. Again, I just didn't want to cause any extra stress. It was a very, very challenging time. Up to now, my husband has not been to an ultrasound or... nothing.
So I was pregnant in 2021.
Yes,
Yeah, I was pregnant in 2021, so it was still the same. He didn't get to go to any of the ultrasounds. There was only one time where we were allowed to do FaceTime, which was the first one. Every other ultrasound would not let me do it.
Yeah.
And even when it got closer to my delivery date, I was worried that I was like, you need to stay home. Do not go see your friends. You do not need to catch COVID. You do not need to give me COVID.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, if I had COVID, they still would have to deliver my baby. unlike him, if he had COVID, you're not welcomed.
Can't go.
So I was like, you need to stay home. Like,
Please.
don't be around these people when you go to work. And like these, because he works in construction, I'm like, these construction workers, they be doing whatever, breathing on you. I was
Yeah.
like, please, because I couldn't think about not having him in that moment with me, and I was
Of
so
course.
worried about it. How was the rules for you when you gave birth? Were you allowed to have people, or only your
Yeah,
husband, or
just my husband Victor. So this was November 2020, and again, this was my only reality. So I don't have this is my only child. I don't
Yeah.
have any other experience to compare it to. But it was just him in the room when we got to the hospital, St. Mike's Hospital. I swear we were the only people there. When you go into that first welcoming room and there was nobody in there, mind you, it was
Yeah.
whatever 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, okay, overnight.
But
Woke you up out of
exactly.
your sleep.
Yeah, but people talk about wearing that mask during. You had to wear your mask.
I didn't. No,
Yeah, to
they
wear the
didn't.
mask with the whole thing. But I didn't mind it because I could be like doing all the
I would be
faces
so
and
pissed.
not feel like anything.
I'd
No.
be so pissed. My like midwives, they didn't really mind, you know.
Yeah.
They would just follow, you know, the rules like they have to. But for me, when I was giving birth, they were like, "No, you don't have to. It's okay." Because it was 22 now,
Yes,
February
yes.
22. We were a little bit further, but he was supposed to wear his mask, and he kept like taking it off, putting it on, taking it off.
Yes.
But they never really said anything. They never stressed it.
No, nobody
Like
ever.
2020, I feel like it was more of a you have to, you have no
Correct.
choice.
I don't remember anybody telling me to, but and
Yeah.
in the moments when it was just Victor and I in the room, I wasn't wearing it. But
Yeah.
definitely during the pushing, I was wearing it for the whole time. But it wasn't a long.
Yeah, it's so
Push.
crazy that people who had to give birth and go through pregnancy and all that stuff during, especially that first year, there's so much, you don't know what's going on. I'd been
Yeah.
so nervous, you know?
I still want to do like a catch up. Pandemic parents, like, what are you up to? Where are you now? How has
Yeah.
it been? Because I spent a lot of my motherhood, the entrance into it, wondering, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
This is it. And nobody's talking about this. This
Yeah.
is how it is. And nobody's saying anything. Y'all just going back to normal.
Yep.
I could not wrap my head around that. And I just always felt so lonely because I was having a hard time. And I'm like, am I missing something here? How will people deal with this? But mind you, yes, the pandemic pregnancy, we moved from Toronto to Durham region. I actually went into labor on my moving day.
Wow.
Yay, it was
What
cute.
a great time.
Cute.
I interviewed somebody else, and she had her baby on the day she had a job interview.
Oh,
So
wow. Oh,
you
right.
guys
This
are
is
extra.
the cervix.
No, this was the previous interview we just did, and she was having a C-section, and she ended up seeing a few weeks before, she saw a job interview for like her dream job essentially. So she did it, and they scheduled an interview the day her
Stop
C-section was
it.
scheduled.
Stop
So
it. Things happen.
it's obvious.
These babies don't. They just like,
They
you
can
know
come
what? This is
anytime.
it. This is it now. And even though, and like Nola, Rain was just like, I'm cool in here. You know, I'm ready to come, but I'm not ready.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna chill.
Yeah.
She was face down but face up, head down, face up, and they were trying to turn her, and she kept saying, "Nah, I want to see what's going on. I want to see
Like,
it."
girl, there's nothing to see. Just come out, and then you can see the world.
Yeah. So we went and had the whatever. We moved that day, but
Yeah.
we still had our apartment. So for like a 2 weeks after to transition into the home, our house. But yeah, there was just so much going on. That move alone was just so isolating, to be in a new city, away from friends, away from family. My stepdad ended up passing like when
I'm
Rain was
sorry.
like 3-4 months, and then my dog died. Girl,
Oh my gosh.
it was just a lot that people are dealing with.
Yeah, sometimes you're not able to enjoy it. I don't think people who were able to have a pregnancy during that first year, and then especially with all the other traumatic things that are added onto you, that you're able to enjoy it the way that somebody who's just living a normal life. You know?
100.
Because there's so many worries at that time.
Yeah.
Like, it was a very anxious, depressing,
100.
all the emotions time.
We were home for I think maybe 2 days when public health called to say, oh, by the way, the lactation consultant had COVID. So
Wow.
Y'all might have it.
Wow. Did you guys end up getting it?
No,
Okay.
I got tested, but
Yeah.
I couldn't test her, so I don't
Yeah.
think she has it. I'm joking. But no, we did not. But those are the kind of things. And I ended up, and I still do struggle a lot with anxiety, like deep postpartum anxiety. And I always say situational depression because that's what my therapist calls it. Because just
just depends on,
intrusive
like,
thoughts, lots of things. And it took me a long time to get help because I couldn't verbalize. I did not have the words. And that is a symptom for many people when it comes to perinatal mood disorders. It's hard for you to put into words what is going on. You just know that you feel off.
Yeah.
But I did not have any issues with, and because of the verbiage that we always hear, it's going to be baby blues in the first couple months. The first couple months, I was good for 6 months. People always talk about
It can come like at any time.
You can come at any time. And that is some of the, I just really want to change some of what we learn about these things.
Yeah.
I think it was around the time when Rain's sleep started regressing. I think I was bawling on Instagram. I think I put a crying post up around that time.
Hey, at least you're transparent about it, because the amount of times I cried about those little regressions, because they can be hard sometimes.
Like, listen, the sleep thing.
Yes.
And
this is why people tell you that you need X amount of time to sleep, because it makes your mental health better. I remember one day, very specific, I was trying to transition her to a crib, and her crib was in her other room because she was in the bassinet. But because she is big, she grew too quick for the bassinet. So I tried to transition her into her crib, and she wasn't feeling it at all. And I would sleep on the floor and try to like be there for her because you want to hold mommy's hand. And I would keep having to wake up and go from room to room. And there was this one time where she just did not want to go to sleep. And I just broke down. I was like, I can't do this. I woke up her dad. I'm like, I'm out of here. And I left at 4:00 in the morning to go walk around the block because I was like, I can't, I'm breaking down. This is not working for me. And then after that, I was like, oh, well, she's coming back into the room. She's just going to be in the bassinet for a little bit longer. Then she ended up sleeping in the bed, and she's still in the bed. I've tried here and there. We did bring the crib into the room, and there was a moment of time where she was sleeping strictly in the crib. And then if for whatever reason she woke up, it goes back and forth. But at least it was in the room compared to me having to go all the way down the hall to get her. Because mentally I couldn't take it. Like, I just need to sleep. I can't be woke up that much and back and forth and spending multiple hours trying to put her back to sleep.
It was a thing. You never have to apologize that the choices you make as a mother, what works best for you and your family.
Yeah.
You never have to apologize. And we co-sleep exclusively. I'm not doing the get up thing.
Yeah.
But now we're getting to a situation where she's like, Mommy, I want a toddler bed. I want a train bed. Or she's obsessed with trains. So it's like, she wants to be a train driver when she grows up.
That's so
and I'm
cute.
like, cool. That's awesome. Right? But she knows already, I want to be a train driver.
Aww.
So I'm like, you do you. Oops. But basically, the co-sleeping. And isn't it just interesting? Motherhood is just full of so many contradictions. And you feel so, I know me, again, through social media, it's a curse and a blessing for me because it has afforded me a lot of opportunities financially to be able to support us, our family, in addition to my husband. But also the fact that my content is motherhood, it's very difficult because there's so many schools of thought about so many things. Like, even for me to talk about co-sleeping, there's still recommendations that it's not the best, it's not safe and all these different things. The choosing to breastfeed through toddlerhood, these are not popular choices. And I feel like every unpopular choice, quote unquote unpopular choice you make, and if you have a lot of slashes or intersectionalities, I somehow feel that it makes it more difficult for you. Because it's very isolating when people don't relate to an experience. And when you have more experiences that people don't, if it's like, okay, I go to work, come home, we do the
Do
thing,
this and
but
that.
I have like 4 different jobs.
Yes.
So it's like you need to find people who relate to being a segment, a broadcast person, acting, and then breastfeeding, co-sleeping. My daughter's a very selective eater. I am at home, but not really.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of like stay-at-home moms who are, first of all, women of color.
Yep.
And of a certain age. I can't believe I said that. Who says of a certain age? Listen, I'm 40 and fabulous.
Yes, you are.
But definitely a lot of Rain's friends, their moms are younger than me,
yeah.
right? But I think that will change. I'm seeing it already. Like it's leveling off. But it's just, you just lose your confidence. I'm very confident about the choices I make, but motherhood becomes difficult when you are thinking too much about the norms and what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, because there's textbook, right? And then there's the people that are on social media that are preaching that you need to have this a certain way. And
who are lying.
Yeah. And then people who just don't have our experience as a woman of color, And that's why I really wanted to start the podcast, because I was listening to other podcasts that are from white women, and I'm like, I don't relate with what you're going through, right? Like, I work, I care about my job in a different way. I have like all these different things going on. I have all these different beliefs compared to them. And I was just like, let me just have a spot where I am not judging whoever does whatever they want to do. It might not be me who does it. Like, it's not me breastfeeding until 3 and almost a half, but it's you who is doing that, What made you decide to like go down that journey for so long?
I don't know. No, I didn't say that. I never thought I was going to breastfeed that long.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody who gets into, I shouldn't say that. I'm not speaking for any other women at all.
Yeah.
But when I became pregnant, or when I knew I wanted to have a baby, I didn't really think about whether I would breastfeed or not. Like, I just didn't have a choice. I do have my cousin-in-law and their family in general. They breastfed for a long time. And so it was not something that was uncommon for me to see. And I definitely did start reading a lot and educating myself. The Leche League has this book called, I forget now. But anyway,
Something
I started reading that. Yes, girl.
Mom brain.
What was I going to say? Exactly. Come on, mom brain. The Art of Breastfeeding, or something to that effect. And I started reading it, and a lot of it made sense to me. I am a pescatarian. I've made a lot of choices in terms of how I eat based on certain beliefs that I have, and things aligned with that thinking. And I thought, you know what? We're in a pandemic.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere anyway.
Yeah.
And
might
so
as well.
I often wonder if it was not during the pandemic whether I would have continued. But then,
especially if you were out more, right? And about, it becomes another thing that you have to think about. You have to make sure you have your pumps when you're not around her.
Yeah.
You have to make sure like you eat enough. And when you're just going, sometimes there's not time to eat.
No, and this is it. And the eating is certainly very important. But I knew for sure that I wanted to, after educating myself a little bit, I just thought it was right for us. And so the process wasn't smooth at all. It was very, very difficult in the beginning. I don't even think, I just remember my second appointment when they make you go to the doctor. I guess it's different because you had a midwife.
Yeah.
You didn't have to physically go. I had a doula. She wasn't able to be there with us. We were on, WhatsApp or whatever.
Yeah.
But I had to go into the second appointment or whatever, 2 days old. And I just remember the doctor being there and was really, really difficult and judgmental about how much milk I was producing. And I just remembered saying to him, cholesterol is milk. Cholesterol is something, but it is true.
Yeah,
Don't
it
sleep on
is. It is
cholesterol.
something.
Do not sleep on cholesterol. And I was so vexed. I cussed that man off so stink.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, here I am trying my best.
Your best.
And you come telling me all this stuff about producing.
You've only been a mom for 2 days.
And it was just the way he was speaking to me as well.
Very like condescending.
Yeah. And I just, first of all, why am I even there? So after that, and I'm like, Victor, you go with her, please. I'm not going back.
Yeah.
Please. I don't even know why I need to physically go when I am like gushing blood still.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was the start
Yeah.
of the breastfeeding. There was lots of cracking, lots of bleeding. And then you're like, yeah. But that was nothing.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that is nothing compared to, I had a lot of ups and downs with breastfeeding, especially at night. I used to dread nighttime coming because I knew that, first of all, the sleep things, by the end of the day, when you're touched out completely after being with her for 24/7.
Yes.
Knowing that you're so close to just putting on your show that you're watching. Like, let me just I'm so close.
Yeah.
And then having to breastfeed and you're touched out, and it
plays
chemically did a lot of things to me.
Yeah.
Mentally. It was very difficult.
So I didn't breastfeed for very long. I tried, but
Do you?
I had way too many things going on that didn't make sense for me to continue. I couldn't mentally do it. That was one of the biggest things. And I don't think that there's enough conversation around how breastfeeding actually plays with your mental health. It could be, a determining factor of whether you're okay or you're not okay. And I think that there's so much stigma where people feel like they're forced to keep breastfeeding because we are told the benefits, and a lot of people suffer in silence, not realizing that it's okay if you don't.
100%.
Because I always say, I make this reference, in a room full of people, or even if you look at the best people like LeBron James, the most talented basketball player there is, you don't know if his mom breastfed him or formula.
It doesn't matter.
And he's still
100.
performing. You know what I mean? It's all
Yes.
about the baby getting food.
However you choose to feed your child.
Yes.
And whatever choice you make is great.
Yeah.
I feel like the opposite. Like, I feel like I was alone in my choice. Like, I didn't know anybody else who had chosen breastfeeding as an option to feed their child. I talk about the negative, but there's also just so many other positive things about bonding and the conversations we have during the breastfeeding. And it's just, like I said, motherhood is about so many contradictions.
Yep.
Where in one side, it is the most beautiful thing that I've ever experienced, but then also the hardest thing I've ever done in my whole life.
Yeah.
But
no
I
matter
don't-
what has been thrown at you, it's still hard.
I don't regret it.
Yeah.
Because, the minute we stopped, like colds, on her part.
Yeah.
And just different things that are happening since we kind of stopped.
So the first few years, she didn't really get sick?
No, mind you,
wow.
we're home, right?
Oh, yeah.
She doesn't, we do all sorts of different things, and I take her to all
But
different
she's
activities.
not in daycare.
No,
Okay.
no, she's never been. Big school in September.
Yeah.
That's what I'm telling you.
She's going to be sick a lot more.
True. Listen, so this is what this is another thing. I'm like, how are we cool with this?
Yeah.
I don't understand how somebody can somebody get sued? Like, can we figure out who is the source of the cold?
I don't know.
And then they have to have some kind of ramifications because this consecutive cold situation,
It is.
I don't know.
It's a cycle.
I just call foul on so many things in terms of motherhood and the things that we have to do.
Yep.
Any of the should and have to. Anytime somebody tell me you should or you have to, and the lack of flexibility when it comes to work, I just call foul on a lot of it. And I'm grateful that a lot of people I'm an elder millennial, but a lot of millennials, Gen Z, like, people are just calling things out that have been so establishment for so long.
That make no sense when
Yeah,
you really
make no
think about
sense.
it, especially in this time. Maybe back in the day, but even still, didn't make sense back then, because when you think about slavery, the Black women were feeding the
Wet
babies.
nurses.
They were nursing the babies on their own breast, and it's still like,
Yeah.
okay, like, but breastfeeding is still a thing, and
Yeah. Do you
it's
know
just
how much?
It's just weird.
You know how much just like people online when you find out if you're feeding a toddler, it's like, oh, you're so gross. Like, they impose all of their
They
thoughts
don't really even
on
know,
you.
for real. The kids
Yeah.
don't know.
No, and I'm all for the individual experiences of every mother. Like you cannot group my experience with breastfeeding is completely different to my cousin's experience with extended breastfeeding. Not breastfeeding is completely different for you than it is for somebody else. Like I just feel like we need to stop saying that because it worked for me, it's going to work for everybody. And because it didn't work for you, it's not going to work for, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like stop that. It's an individual thing. When I first became a mother, I was like, motherhood, even though I'm like, we're just going to be part of this club and everybody's going to understand everybody else.
And they still don't.
It's a hot lie.
Yeah.
It's not true.
Nobody really knows what you're going through. There's very little that can relate on all fronts to what you're going through as a mother.
But the thing is, I used to always be like, nobody understands. I just want somebody who's, again, all those things I named, who co-sleeps, who breastfeeds, who stays at home with their child, who is also a content creator, who is Black, who is from the Caribbean, who is 5'6.5", who also has a dog, who is, you know, who lives in Durham. You have all these things where you're like, people don't understand me because, but we need to get out of that mindset and just focus more on on you and empowering yourself and being grateful and seeing the joy in the imperfections.
And doing what you feel is right. Follow your intuition, you know, because there's going to be things that you're faced with and it might just not feel right for you. Don't feel like you have to push it just to confine with everybody else.
100. And I want to say that you may not necessarily know that societal norms and expectations have been imposed upon you. You don't even realize that you've been seeing it from when you're 5.
Yeah.
You know, when I think about the mothers that I've had around me, my mother was definitely a career-focused mom. And, you know, but I also grew up a lot with my great aunts. We call them Tanty, Tanty Tear, Tanty Aggie, all the Tanties. And they were just like the social, community-focused, like the cooking and the gardening and the hosting and just the perfect, you know. And I just think about how all those archetypes of motherhood affected how I mother.
Yeah.
And you don't even realize it. And then obviously there are the societal things that are pushed on you that you don't even notice either. So I think it's always important for you to dissect what has played into your own beliefs of what a mother is supposed to be and how you're going to mother, and try to dismantle it and try to understand it, because I think that makes a big difference.
That's what I said in a previous episode with Akil, actually, that everybody has different situations. They parent differently because they were raised differently. And that's going to impact how they raise their child as well. Not everybody's going to be aligned and believe in the same things and do the same things, you know? And we need to just be okay with that and realize that there's going to be different approaches and just kind of finding their middle ground, especially if you're partnering or parenting with a partner that didn't grow up like you. Find that middle ground where you guys can sort of agree on something or create like a new rule so that your child can grow up the best way that they can, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
With my breastfeeding story, I really tried for a little.
Did you have a lactation consultant?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
But I had ended up back in the hospital after I gave birth 8 days later because I got postpartum preeclampsia. Oh, wow. And so I was in there and it was on a COVID floor. So I couldn't even have any visitors. So I wasn't able to see Nola and I wasn't able to breastfeed her. And I didn't have a pump because it was very much a new thing. I was like, okay, I'm just going to try it and like, you know, and eventually get a pump. I wasn't rushing because I had just had her 8 days ago. And so I didn't have that. And it started building up. And I didn't have anything to really do with it. And I'm like trying to hand, you know.
Yep.
Hand pump.
I got so good at that, girl.
Yeah. I did.
Fire hose.
I was like, this is so much. And it just dropped. Yeah. Like all of my milk dropped once I got back home. I still, obviously when she was away, we didn't have enough supplies because again, I wasn't pumping. So there was only a little bit and she had no choice but to go on formula. And so then once I got out of the hospital, I was like, okay, like let's try to just do a mix of it. Some formula, some breast milk until I can get it back up. And it just never happened. I remember going to my midwife and I told her, and she was like, okay, is that something that you want? Do you want to continue? And I'm like, I want to try at least. And she was like, all right, so this is what you need to do. You need to eat. You need to have 3,000 calories a day. I was like, sis, am I even getting 1,000 calories a day? She was like, and then on top of that, she's like, you need to do it every 3 hours, even during the night. Even if Nola doesn't wake up, you need to be pumping and pumping and pumping. And so I tried. I was in the bathroom trying to like put the pump on and do it. And I felt so alone because I'm like, everybody else in the house gets to sleep. And I'm here in the bathroom or in the living room, like hearing this machine go off.
Oh,
like,
that machine. I know.
My breasts hurt just by myself. Losing sleep because of it. And I also felt like I started to get a little bit resentful that my partner got to continue sleeping. Right. And it was me that had to like be that source.
Yeah, and that's something that definitely happens in relationships, the resentment.
You felt like the same way?
Well, no, I mean, Victor, again, he works from home, right? And he was off for a little while. So it was a tag team effort. Like, I think I ended up telling you, I did have to do a lactation consultant via FaceTime. Yeah. And there's certain things, certain positions that, like, Victor had to help with. Like, he had to be the one to support me, to remind me, to hold her in a certain way for it to work. My side table, the snacks, that was the role he played in making sure the water was topped up. My booby cookies, my fenugreeks, my moringa tablets, all the supplements, all the things, like just constantly. And then, the pumping. And then that's the thing. I didn't pump as much because like I wasn't producing a lot of milk. And so as a result, there was not a whole lot of, she was always feeding. And so there's not a lot of time to pump. And I remember going on social media and just seeing people put in all their like bottles of milk that they pumped.
I know, in their freezers.
Oh my gosh.
It's okay.
Freezing it, doing all the things. And I'm just like, I was celebrating.
Selling it, not even selling it, but gifting it to other people. It's crazy.
And this much is like big for me. I'm like, girl, but listen, it was just enough for her. It was enough for her. Yeah. Because this is what my gift to her, and this was enough for her. She was getting enough. I think, again, that's another thing that people think that, it had to be this truckload of things. Yeah, boy. And the thing about motherhood, too, if you don't write it down, if you don't voice note stuff, like you forget about all these experiences. Just talking to you now, I'm just like, oh, shoot, I remember all of this. And
that's one thing I regret not journaling.
You have to. True.
Throughout it. But I feel as if I do still remember a good chunk of it, especially with the other podcast that I'm on. I have spoke on some of my stuff. So I do have that to like, and then with this, I'm able to recall things just talking to guests. So I'm grateful for that. But I would have loved to have wrote everything down. I just couldn't.
I know.
I was surviving.
You were surviving. We're done with the survival. We're thriving now, okay? Yeah. We're out of survival mode. We're trying to be in thriving. And I made that shift for a long time. Recently made the shift where I was like, this notion of being a good mom. I think I did another post too about just the mental load that I'm always carrying, which is another reason why you can't verbalize, because of the load, the invisible load of things that not even the physical things that you need to do. Oh, the house is dirty. Oh, we need groceries. Or we need all these things. But it's also just the societal load of all the things that you should be remembering, the pressure and the burden that a lot of moms often feel to be the gatekeeper of the person making the memories. Like I find myself sometimes saying to Victor, like, these are her memories we're creating, like this is going to be a memory of hers. And then he always has to be like, yeah, but think about what your memories are. Yeah. It's not always like you had the best cake at your birthday. Yeah. Your birthday party doesn't have to be Instagrammable. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Because realistically, especially at this specific age, maybe now as Rain gets a little bit older, she's near the 4 mark, she might remember some stuff. But the first little while, she's not really going to remember it in 10
From what we know,
years.
From what we know, right? Because we don't really know.
Yeah, we don't know. Some people remember being in the womb, which is crazy.
Yes.
I'm like, how do you remember that?
She used to tell me that. She's told me that. That's what she says. No, she said.
That's wild.
When When she came out, I was telling her a story about how when she first came out, and I was singing a song to her that I sang to her every night when she was in my stomach. And I sang it to her when she came out, and then she looked at me and she knew, as if she was like, oh, that's my jam, girl. You're singing my jam. And then she was like, well, she said, I remember. And she was like, and I was crying because I just wanted you to hold me. I'm like, what, girl? Stop with this. I was crying after because I just wanted you to hold me. But she says these things. These kids, they just, the wisdom.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like they have a lot more wisdom than us. They be knowing things that I'm like, what are you in on that we don't know?
They teach you so many things, right? Like she's literally, I cannot stand the color red.
It's her favorite color.
Favorite. Yeah. Everything is red. I have a friend.
Nola's favorite color right now is red too.
They love them primary colors though.
Yeah.
Red, blue. Yeah. She went through a blue phase, but this red phase is strong. Like when she colors, all the red markers are just done. I'm just always replacing the red markers, red crayons. But that my friend who's holistic and is into astrology and these kind of stuff, and she's like, that's because it's your grounding. She's like, you lack red. You need the red and what it represents.
So rain is giving you the red.
Wow. All these things here. But yeah.
I don't really like pink. Like I like pink in terms of here and there. But I'm not like
a pink.
Like, I don't want all her clothes to be pink. I don't want her whole room to be pink. And I don't know if she does it because her sister is more into, like, pink and stuff. But sometimes she'll be like, no, I want the pink. And I'm like, damn it.
I know, right?
I was like, all right. She chose my nails color. I do like this color on my nails, but thank you. When I was going yesterday, I was like, okay, what color do you want for me? And she said, pink. I was like, not red? Pink. I was like, okay. I got you, girl.
But no, it worked out. It worked out. Yeah, and I try to let go of my needs and wants for her, and I just try to go with the flow a lot. It's in the beginning for sure. I had what I wanted. Things had to go a certain way. And then over time, you kind of let go of the strict thing. We still on a schedule. Yeah. I love a schedule. I do not care. That is the only way I get some kind of semblance of a life. Yeah. If we're not
feel good about it.
But there's definitely people who, you go to the in-laws and they're just like, just let you sleep on the ground. Go sleep whenever, y'all, or whatever. Yeah. It's like, well, what about me? Like, I want to shut off my hypervigilance. Like, you don't understand what vigilance, the mental load of just that constant...
Yeah, no, I definitely get it. Nola does not have a schedule at all. She's very much vibes. Her whole like baby.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Vibes.
But what do you? Okay, give me your day. And I know it's different because sometimes she's at her mom's, sometimes she's home. Like
that's
if you have her, you have her, what's your day like?
I go to work, so I'm at work.
What time you wake up?
I have to wake up at 4:45. Yeah, because I'm on the morning show, right? So, yeah, I get to the radio station. I'm supposed to get to the radio station at 5:30. Okay. Start at 6. Finish the show. Finished at 9. Maybe get home between 9:30.
Sorry. Where is Nola right now? Like that time, like when you get up at 5:30.
Yeah, she'll be at home sleeping.
But in your bed.
Yeah.
So how you get up and she doesn't get up?
No. So the first little bit, it depends, right? The first little bit, she would hear me and she'd be like, Mommy, where you going? Mommy, where you going? Right? And her dad would be like, no, it's okay. Or I would be like, no, it's okay. Just go to sleep. Mommy has to go to work. She was like, I'm coming. I'm coming to work. I'm coming. I'm like, no, it's still like dark out. It's nighttime. Like, go back to sleep. So there is a few times where she would wake up and she'd want to be up, and then her dad would have to get up and they would listen to the show. But now she tends to be sleeping. Good. I've been encouraged to get her my mom. I was like, you need to wake her up a little bit earlier because I could come home and she'd be still sleeping. She's always been asleep. Like, I'll sleep in until 9:30, 10, 10:30, 11.
I have to wake up Rain all the time. Yeah.
So my mom's like, if you wake her up earlier, then you can nap earlier. Because I get tired. So I'll get home around like 9:30. depending if we don't have an interview or anything that we have to do after the
Mm-hmm.
show. And yeah, then she'll be home, and hopefully her dad would have given her breakfast. If she woke up at, say, 7, hopefully her dad would have given her breakfast. He'd go to work, and then it would be me and her, and we do whatever, play, watch stuff.
Things.
And then I start trying to fall asleep. I'll be, especially if she's watching something, like Sing for the billionth time. I'll be on the couch.
I love that movie.
She loves it.
I love it. I've never even thought to like watch it with Rain.
Yeah, she loves it. I promise you,
shows.
in the last month and a half, she's watched it, I don't know, 50 times. Like,
But how do you nap after you're so hype up? I know that life about the early mornings. You come home and you just hype, like you're just ready.
I'm tired.
But you shut it down.
I'm tired because I don't go to bed early enough.
Okay.
So I only get a couple hours sleep.
Okay.
I'm not a morning person, never have been a morning person. And I'm also a big napper. So for me, I'm trying to stay awake. And then sometimes when she's watching TV, I'm like, I'm like, yo, Nola, you need to go to nap yet? No, I don't want to go to sleep. So if I'm lucky, she'll go to sleep by 12. But if not, she's not going to sleep until like 1:32.
Okay. And then you have a nap.
I nap with her.
And you have a contact nap. Don't you love a contact nap?
Yeah, I love nap time.
It's just the best.
That's why I love not being at my full-time job anymore, because I get to do my naps with her now. Before, if I was at work, I didn't get to do my naps with her.
We dropped that nap so hard, girl.
Yeah.
We dropped the nap.
Why?
Because it just was taking forever to go to sleep at night. Trust me, my nighttime with my husband, that our nighttime is sacred. So because we spend all day with her, we event not so quick. I think she was 2.5 or something when I don't remember. But the nap allowed her to 7:30
go to bed
boom,
earlier.
Done.
The thing with Nola, with her nap, if she misses it, you can really tell she's not the happy-go-lucky baby anymore.
And they need it. Like, you will know when it's time.
Yeah.
Like, they need it.
Yeah, she gets very fussy. She starts getting up. Like, she's a very emotional baby. So she'll get emotional about things. She'll get angry.
Pisces?
She'll start like, throwing things, and you can tell it's like, all right, it's time for your nap because you're so frustrated.
Yeah.
Yesterday, she actually didn't have a nap. She only slept in the car for like 15 minutes, and she went to bed at 9:30, surprisingly.
Yeah.
That's really early for her.
No, girl.
Because she will go to bed whenever I go. It's like, Mommy, you going to bed yet?
And then you up at 5?
Yeah, so I don't go to bed. I try to go to bed earlier, and I'll end up being in bed at like 11.
No, girl.
Yeah.
I'm so
11, 12.
I lacked sleep for so many years. I'm just like, no, you got the sleep. It just catches up on you. It catches up on you. But whatever works, right? Because she wakes up late anyway, right?
Yeah.
So
and then she gets like a solid nap, right?
And then she's
so that's why I don't really care. I wish she would be able to go to bed just a little bit earlier, or at least me go to bed earlier, and then allow her dad to like get her ready for bed and bring her to bed. But then it's like the second she comes to the bed, and if I'm sleeping, it's like, mommy hair. She's like pulling off whatever to touch my hair because that soothes her, and wanting to be sleeping on top of me and whatever else, so that I'm waking up again, right? I just don't see it. But also my schedule fluctuates so much, especially in the summertime, because then I'll start working the Toronto Argos and the Shooting Star things, and that means I'm not going to get home until 11.
When is dinner?
Whenever.
Yeah. No, it had to be. I cannot. I can't.
And for me, I can't.
Anxiety doing no schedule. But again, that's just who I am.
I think about schedule and being like, okay, I have to have dinner at this time. I would get anxiety because I'm like, oh my gosh, if I'm not at that time, like, timeline. What's going on?
You acting like I'm cooking.
Yeah.
Acting like I'm cooking. I don't cook sweet Thai. I don't cook either. I say I'm a stay-at-home mom, but I'm not like
Shout out to my
husband.
Yeah.
Shout out to my husband.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like whatever works for you. It's so sad. I cook Rain's food for sure, and she's very selective. So we have like 4 things she eats.
Yep.
But then she'll be like, "What are you having?" She'll say, what you call it? She'll say,
Yeah.
"Mommy, what are you ordering?
Yeah.
What are you ordering for your dinner?" Which
Yeah.
is so sad. But
No.
I'm getting back into it. I'm getting back into cooking.
I've been off of it for a very long time. Thankfully, HelloFresh has helped Ezra learn how to cook. And now he cooks so much. He cooks most of the meals.
I love
Me,
it.
I'll just put that thing together.
Yeah.
And he'll take over. And I'm so appreciative because if not, then it's just, vibes for us. Because again, like Rain, Nola doesn't eat that much. And it changes. Like one day she'll love this. And the next day she doesn't love it anymore. And she like is gone back to something else. Right? So it's really like I'll go through everything. I'm standing there in the fridge and the freezer with her. Okay, do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? It's always no.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, I don't know what to do.
What
are
are
you gonna
your
starve?
That in itself took me. That was another thing that I beat myself up about. Right.
Yeah.
I'm a Scorpio, but my moon is Virgo. Right. I'm a Virgo rising, so I always have a battle between my creative, more fun-loving Scorpio, kind of more like side, and the like, let's do this.
Yeah.
The way it should be done, right?
Yeah.
It's always that battle. And so I just need to feed each part a little bit. Just give Virgo
so
a
you
little
feel
something,
a little bit
Scorpio a little something.
balanced.
Exactly. Like we are free flowing all through the day. Well, it's like, well, Rain, what we doing today? What's the adventure? Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. We're going mall today. We're going for coffee. We're going down by the water. What are we doing today? She's like, let's just play with the girls, which is the Barbies.
Yeah.
Let's just take the girls on a walk, mommy.
Okay.
But so we free flow during the day.
Yeah.
But then come 5:30, we locking it down, right? Because then Virgo lady coming in.
But then also maybe it helps that your husband is home too.
100.
So then you can have that because, like Ezra, he is just gone because he doesn't have like a set. He doesn't work corporate. He's a plumber. He
physically has to be there.
Yeah, and he'll be there wherever at any
By the way, I
given
need
time.
to call him.
Okay, yeah, he got you.
Anyway.
But yeah, so that's another thing because it's like, when are you gonna come home for dinner, right? So is it gonna be later? And he'll be like, yeah, I'll cook something, but now we have to wait until later. So
it's hard.
Yeah, I just don't think a schedule will ever align, especially because her going to my mom's house. My mom would probably have her in a better schedule than me because my mom is pretty particular about her going to bed. She also wakes up really early because she's a school bus driver.
Yes.
So she has to wake up early in the morning, and she doesn't tend to eat late. I've always been like a later eater, and so she probably gets more of a schedule at my mom's house than with me and her dad because we'll just be going.
But I like that. She has a mix of everything. I like that.
Yeah.
But Rain, all of us are Scorpios though, like my husband and Rain and me.
Yes, yeah, you and Rain are like days apart, right?
No, my husband and I are days apart. 3 and 5 November, and she is right on the cusp. She came like 11:50 something. I'm like, listen, she's on the cusp of Sag and Scorpio, and I said we've come too far. The labor is 23 hours. I said she is going to be a Scorpio. Okay, so I'm pushing. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So like. But she's very, I feel bad. Again, my issue now is trying not to impose upon her my belief system and so forth. I'm very, a little tricky about, again, this is how we grew up in the pandemic, how she was raised. A lot of hand washing is going on with me and bathrooms. Rain loves a public washroom.
Really?
If there is a public washroom, she is going. She's going to be there.
Oh my gosh.
We hit the GO train. I need to use the potty.
We're in the plane. So disturbed.
I need to use the pate. And that just, again, that just like me and my cleanliness.
Yeah.
Woo,
like, couldn't you have gone before? Especially like airplanes? Nah, yo. Can we just go before we get on the plane?
Airport bathroom plus the plane.
Yeah.
But bless her heart, I always have to say thank you for telling mommy. Thank you.
Yeah.
But we went to this co-working space, kids play, whatever thing.
Yeah.
And she we're in the bathroom and she's like, Mommy, this is such a clean bathroom. And I was like, You're my
That's
girl.
amazing that you
You're my
realize that.
girl. No, but I also felt bad. I'm like, what am I teaching this child? Where then we had to go back another time to the same place. And I was like trying to explain different things about what we played.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, oh, the place with the clean bathroom.
Wow, that's what stood out for her. Now she's gonna be going to people's houses, judging them based
Mind
off
you,
of their cleanliness.
when Ezra come, don't get it twisted. My bathroom is not popping.
Yeah.
My house is not popping. You know, I share on my socials all the ups and downs because it's important.
hard.
We are not out here selling an aesthetic life. We are not. And
Yeah.
that's another big thing that when it comes to content creators, that they're just putting out all this perfection.
I was like, that's
yeah.
not my house.
No, it's not aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was the potty training situation?
It's a thing. And I always have all these things about sharing on social and how I don't want to put out her business.
Yeah.
So I'm like, there's so much I want to talk about. Can I just post this picture
Yeah.
of her on the potty?
Yeah.
But it's fine. She does the twos
Mm-hmm.
in the toilet.
That's good.
One's currently in a smaller potty
Oh, okay.
because it takes time to get to the big potty.
Got
Right?
you. So at least if she knows she gotta go poo,
Yes.
she's like,
We're working on the poos,
yeah.
my girl. But the ones, she'll be like, Mommy, I'm just doing it right now.
When did you start training her?
From like 6 months, I used not
What?
training, but
But
from
like
6 months,
just-
I pull out the potty and I'm like, I just had it in the room there. Just
got you.
not doing anything, not saying anything. And she would just go sit on it and just
Mm.
like, but she was always a private, do her business.
Yeah.
She would
yeah.
always go in
Nola
the
will
corner.
hide if she has
Yes.
to go poo. Yeah.
So then you capitalize on that, right?
Mhm.
And like you put it in the places where you kind of know she goes.
She hides anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, she hides anywhere. But recently I seen her in a box. Like we have this big box that we've kept.
I love
I got it. I've kept it. They've drawn on it. They made it their fort. The other day she went in the box. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm pooping.
Oh.
But she likes to lie. I'm still pooping. I'm still pooping. She's not pooping. She just doesn't want to get her diaper changed.
They
I'm
just
like,
it's so
why do you
comfortable.
want to sit in doo-doo? You smell. Like, come.
That's taking a time away. That's
Yeah.
taking time away from stuff she could be doing, Mommy.
I'm like, girl.
It's taking time away.
I really thought that Nola would have been potty trained by this time because
Yes.
she doesn't like getting her diaper changed. It's something about laying down on that change table that she hates.
They
and
don't like
she'll fight. And I'm like, it doesn't have to take this long. It can
No.
go really quick if you just cooperate, you know? And like you, we've had a potty around for a while, both one at my mom's house and one here. At my house, and it's just there. It's just sitting in like the main floor bathroom. So she'd see it all the time when she'd go and play with the water to wash her hands.
Yes.
And there would be times where she'd go and sit on it. And then even when she'd be in the washroom with me, I'd sit her on a bench
Stool or something.
and she would pretend like she was going to the bathroom.
But you go with her? Like, do you go and do your stuff in front of her?
Yeah, she'll come. She'll come in
Now,
the
all
room
of
with
the
me.
things?
Yeah.
Let's
she'll
get to the
come.
real.
Yeah, she'll be there all the time, and I'm like,
Yeah.
can you leave me alone?
No,
please?
like you have to let her see and
Yeah,
talk
no,
through,
but
talk
yeah.
through what you're doing. You're like,
When
I'm
she was
just doing-
littler, that's when I would talk all the time, right? And be like, oh, this is what I'm doing. Because she would ask, what's this? Now she understands. And she has gone on the potty.
Yeah.
Back in December, like Christmas time, she was actually using the potty here and there.
Yes.
And she told me one day before she started using the potty, she was like, I want big girl underwear.
They
So I
love
bought
a big
them.
girl.
And I put them over top of her diaper, knowing that she was not going to go on the potty. And it made her feel great. And then that's when she started using the potty here and there. And then now she doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm scared. I
It's
was
just,
like,
it's
what?
it's ebbs and flows. Like that's the one thing too about motherhood.
Yeah.
Like things are always in flux. Things are always changing. The little things affect them, and it, same with Rain for sure. And I don't want to do the 3-day take off everything and pee down the place. And
Yeah.
then she learns. That's fine, but it's very developmental.
Yeah.
That's how I felt about sleeping. Again, these are all choices that you make based on what's best for you.
Yeah.
But it's like, this is. She'll get it when she wants to.
Yeah. Hopefully
get
before
to that
she's
point.
3.
Yeah.
That would be ideal. I mean, she
mean,
just turned 2 in February, so she has some time.
Yeah.
But-
no, there's no timeline. That's
Yeah.
that's the theme of this whole thing.
I just
There is
hope.
no timeline. For why?
Well, because when she goes to school, obviously, but then she has
So-
until she's 4, I guess.
So she can't go to school unless she's potty trained.
I don't
this
think
particular
so.
school.
I don't think you're allowed
She's
to.
going to school at 3. I mean,
I don't know.
No,
I don't know
but
when she's like, I don't know when she's going to school. I don't know when they go to school. I went to school. I was 6 when I was in school. Apparently things have
legally correct.
Okay, apparently things have changed and kids be going to school at like 3, 4.
100 Montessori, you can and everything, right?
Yeah.
But
I know that some schools and even some daycares, they make you train your child
100%.
before. So I'm like, okay, if she's trained by 3, that way it would be better if she starts going to school anytime.
Yes.
You know, she'll have a routine and she'll have hopefully less accidents.
These are the things that I'm just like, why? Why do I have to do anything on your timeline?
Yeah.
Why do I have to do anything that you tell me to do because it's best for your system, because you don't want to deal with it?
Yeah, that's
what do I
all
have to
it
do
is.
with me? You know what I mean? Like these are the things that I'm just like calling foul on. But like, she'll get it.
Yeah.
And follow her lead. Like if there's excitement, then you follow that lead. But I understand also that people don't have that time.
Yeah.
So I'm always about like, if there's something you believe in, you can do the things to support it. But if you want to live your life in a different way, then that's cool, right?
Yeah.
So some of the things that choices that I have made, I recognize that it's not possible for you to do because you have a full-time job.
Yeah.
Or it's not, right?
Yeah.
And I think also that a lot of people speak about like what privilege is, like there's just so many things.
There's so many layers to it, you know? So the littlest thing could impact the way somebody else's life works and the training and how far they are.
Quite.
Right? Even with like writing and reading, some people have the time to actually, or even the patience and their own skill level to teach their child from very young how to properly read. And some people don't.
This is it.
And it's like, how are they? Sometimes they only have like a few hours after work and a few hours before. And maybe that's not what they want to choose their, time, dedicate that time, that little time on.
Yes.
And sometimes there's like vibes.
Vibes.
We'll figure it out. It will happen eventually.
Ren and I definitely do what we call letter work. And again, the beginning of the day, what we're doing today, she's like, maybe we start with a little letter work. Can we do letter work today? I would only do it if she wants to do it. And when, when it's cool for us, we do it for like a 10 minutes or whatever. But I would say that that's one of the reasons why I lived my life how I wanted it to before having a kid. Because I didn't have a lot of regrets.
Got you.
I didn't feel like, I think it would be harder for me to have stepped back from my career if I had not been like, I want to try this. I want to start a YouTube channel. I want to do a talk show. I want to become an actor. I want to do voice work. I want to do influencing. I want to become an expert on TV. I want to just do everything I want to do. Yeah. I think it would have been difficult for me to just say like, you know what? I can step back a little, but I also know that I am excellent and that when I'm ready to come back 100%, I'm going to bat up the place still because I have no timeline. Yeah. There's no timeline to my life and to what I'm able to achieve. And so if I want to take a break to chill with my child, when we're ready, things are going to be there. And I've been around long enough now. So I've been around long enough now to see the cycles.
You're acting like you're so old. Like.
To see the cycles of things that come back. I'm like, yo, that event was 5 years ago. Yeah. Like I remember 5 years ago and I was like, shoot, I got to be at that event. There's going to be one in another 5 years that I'm going to get invited to and then I'm going to be able to go or whatever the case may be. So
when having Rain, when you got to that point, did you purposely try to wait until you were older, or is that just how it ended up?
To be honest, I used to be like, I want to have a kid when I can afford a full-time nanny and a housekeeper and like a chef and all these things. No,
don't have any of them,
no,
right?
I have a nanny, not full-time.
Oh, okay, that's amazing. I need one,
but that is very new. That is very new, and it's something I want to talk about as well because they talk about the village. And yes, I think I mentioned to you that we have older parents. Yeah, we live far from family. Nobody in our family drives. Like my one cousin.
Yeah. So that makes it a lot harder.
Yeah, I don't drive on the highway. A lot of stuff with that going back to postpartum anxiety, as well as to my initial belief that I was gonna have a driver by now. I was gonna have a driver. I'm still working on it.
Yeah.
Still working on it.
Your poor husband.
I'm a passenger princess, girl. What you know about that?
It's probably like, oh my gosh, I gotta keep working for the rest of my life just
No,
to make her happy.
listen. No, but don't forget, I'm a stay-at-home. I'm a work from home.
Yeah, you work from home.
Still
There's a
doing-
difference, yeah.
But not full.
Yeah.
Not full on. But
Yeah.
we drive. I just don't, I'm not on the highway yet.
Mm.
People know that I've had this issue with driving. I'm a good driver. I learned to drive in St. Vincent. If you can drive in the Caribbean, you can drive anywhere.
Yeah.
But
It's pretty wild out there.
driving with my daughter in the grips of postpartum anxiety, I couldn't. Intrusive thoughts, all the things.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was my point about this?
Nanny.
Yes, I was going to wait until I had all these. I used to say that, and then I was like, "Well, there's still things going on
Time
in
to
there,
take in.
right?" But people always say, right, the village doesn't exist, but you need to buy it. Correct. However, what if it's a pandemic and you don't want people in your house, or you have major anxiety about many things? And you're from the Caribbean, you don't trust people.
Mm-hmm. There's so many just with like different layers.
Yeah. So it took me a while.
So how were you able to find a nanny?
The websites, I've tried to do it the way, like, finding somebody who knew others, but there are different stilly.com, care.com.
Mm-hmm. Did you have like a hard interview process
and there's a
with
vetting
them?
process, 100%. And a lot of these websites do ensure that people have certain certifications, for example. So that was something we looked at. And honestly, just rain vibing. You know what I mean? Like, I just praise God for her so many times to allow me to be able to do a little work in those downtimes, go get my nails done, get my hair done. Like, just
I like that
stuff. But don't get me wrong. It's not because I'm rolling in cash. Like, people have to recognize that if you choose a certain lifestyle, there's certain sacrifices that you make. And not to say that you're a good mom if you sacrifice, because I think that's something that a lot of people think, that
you shouldn't have to sacrifice everything, and you shouldn't have to sacrifice yourself. Correct. If you want to get your nails done, you should be able to have the time to get your nails done. Correct.
So, but for me, it just, when was that going to happen if we didn't have any help?
Yeah.
Like, it was just, there's nobody.
Yeah. I get it. You're definitely in a different situation compared to like me, who obviously my mom is there at the drop of a hat. And then on top of that, as there's parents, whenever we can't, then she can go there. And there's just a lot of people that could help if necessary.
Yes.
I know my friend, she had a hard time finding nannies. A very hard time, and she went through a lot of them.
I don't want to sound like, and there is a shortage right now for sure in terms of people who
she was in the States, so I don't know if there's still like a shortage over there as well, but I remember there was just so many issues, especially when she started blending her family with her then husband, and he was a white man, she was a black girl, she has 2 kids, black girls, and he just had like all his white kids, and he had picked the nannies originally. So when they started blending, she didn't like the nannies. She was like, I can't. They got into arguments. One time
she had a nanny.
Yeah, she had 2 nannies actually.
Oh,
lucky. A day one and a weekend one. Or wait, was it day and night or day and weekend?
I'm not saying, oh my God, to be like judgmental. I'm just saying, bless you, and I claim that for my life.
She has 2, and then he had 4. So that's 6 kids. And personally, if I'm going in there with only 2, I'm not about to look after 6. I'm not doing that. So I understand why there would be multiple nannies who come regularly. But I just know she has such a hard time trying to find it. And she kept posting like, hey, if you are like have experience in this, please just let me know. We pay well. We give benefits. You get to go on cruises with us, like family vacations and all the things. She was like, please, I just need somebody who can,
it got
trust.
To the point. I know it's a thing. That's why I said, and we're so grateful. I couldn't even do that. If you have a liquor profile, I just been through a lot of like stuff from like working in the public eye for my whole life, where in terms of safety. Yeah. So for me to just be like, anybody come on in, like whatever, I can't even fill my front door because of my anxiety.
I know. So every time I accidentally do, somebody messages me like, I could see the 2 streets And I'm like, all right, y'all.
I know, no,
I
but
was like,
it's
there's 2 men in the house. Like, fight them.
yes. They packing,
Yeah. And they're big
putting
too.
it out
So
there.
I was like, if you want to come, it's not just me. Pull up. Good
Same,
luck.
same. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
that's a
happy
whole
that you got
thing.
your nanny though.
That's
At
the
least you
whole
got
thing.
one out of the few.
I don't even know. When she first started, I was like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
What is this life?
Yeah.
What is this?
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, and at a point I used to be like, I can come and, because again, I still was there for the most part, I'd run errands, but I used to be like, come back and cook and still do the lunch. I couldn't really let go. There's a lot of things it's hard for me to let go. But then now I'm just like, do the thing, whatever works for you. You do it,
I love
but that happens over time. Yeah. What a life.
My only goal right now is to be able to figure out time for me to go to the gym, because that's something that I haven't done. And
you have to physically go though? You can't do it.
I just don't have the motivation the same way. I feel like I need to actually be out, right? And so that's one thing that I would really like to do, is try to figure out that situation.
When would you like to do it? When can you do it?
I don't know.
What time? Like, could
because
you
I've
go
been contemplating
right before you get home?
No, because he usually wants to leave so he can go to work. He tends to go really early, and since making this transition, he's been going to work later. And that's why Nola will go to my mom's house for a few days when he is like, I really want to work earlier. So then she's just at her house. We don't have to worry about anybody staying home from work or rushing home. So those would be the most ideal times to go to the gym, when she's not there, but I just end up so tired.
I know. It's just,
I'm just like, I just want to nap. Like, I want to go home and go straight to sleep. And whenever I wake up. And then on Tuesdays I have things in the evening with extra gravy, and then I don't get home until 11:30, 12 o'clock. That means I'm not going to bed anywhere till 12 and 1, and then I gotta wake up at 4:45. So then Wednesdays I'm very tired, and then I sleep, and then I wake up, and then we have date nights on Wednesdays. So I'm like, I feel like there's no time to fit it.
I know,
especially when you're not completely motivated to do it. I
used to have a thing. That's the next thing that happens when you stop breastfeeding. It's weight gain and stuff. So I noticed right away when we started dwindling that I started putting on more weight. And like, whatever, I don't really care. But it's more about just like the mental health piece. And we had to actually swap how we do our mornings, for example. So it's like, Victor used to go down and prep breakfast stuff, and then I would do the washing face, brushing teeth, potty, all that stuff. And then we swapped so that I could do my meditation and my Pilates, and I only need 15 minutes. I'm not talking like any big thing. There was a point where I was working with a trainer, and like at home in my basement, and I would just do it whenever Victor has, I don't have a call right now. Okay, I just go. I would just do a quick thing. In my robe, whatever I have on, nothing cute. Right.
For me, it's just like a whole, like I have to work up to it,
I know.
I have to change. I have to feel good. Like,
no, I used to change, but I'm just like, no, just get it done. I'll just do a little sweat. And then my workout, the type of workout changed as well. Like I used to do a lot of high intensity training, and that is great. But I also have cortisol. Like my cortisol levels were next level. And so I switched to like Pilates and just like more chill things. And now I'm just like, I feel different. My clothes feel different. It's not about what's on the scale, obviously, but I can just feel, it made such a huge difference just making that small shift in the morning, because that's the only time. Because when our nanny's there, I have 800 gajillion things to do. I send all the emails. I do all the pitching. Doing any little content. Like, that's why people see ebbs and flows in my posting, because I'm like, I can only do it at a certain period of time. I remember when I first started content.
It's harder doing content with a child running around, unless they're in it.
And everybody has
and even when they're in it, it's still hard.
Everybody has a nanny. And I remember calling one of these top girls. I don't want to give out her name because I don't. And I said, hello, what is this? What is this thing that y'all talking about? Like, this is not real. How are you able to work and be a mother
Yeah.
What is this? Not work like that, but content from home.
Yeah.
And then she's like, girl, you got to get a nanny. And again, meantime, I was in the grips of postpartum anxiety
You're like,
at the
nanny,
time. I
how?
couldn't even entertain having somebody come in my house. I can't trust people. I don't know who your boyfriend is, who you and him had a fight and then show up at my door. Like, these are the things
Yeah.
that run through
But it's
my
fair.
mind all the time.
But it also might be because you have that news background.
Oh, you hit the nail right on the head.
Yeah.
I've seen many things. I've had many, many lives.
Yeah.
I don't know what voice this is.
I actually have a question about this.
Yes.
I think about this regularly when I watch people on the news, and I'm like, because I don't really watch the news. I'm not
with the volume on.
Well, yeah. Now it's like played in the background at this radio station because we have to see the weather and if anything crazy. But if I'm at home, it's not on, right? I never really had regular cable. And so now that I'm seeing it more often and seeing these people, and I've just started thinking, how were you able to be on the streets in all types of weather for very long hours?
Right.
How were you able to deal with all these negative stories constantly? Like, were you ever internalizing that and taking it home or...
Well, you get very desensitized, unfortunately, working in media, in broadcasting, because you're just like, okay, yeah, but did the person pass away?
Yeah.
And I'm being very, like I'm speaking nicely.
Nicely, yeah.
Right? Because you just don't have time and you're just like, yeah, what happened? Like, is that something you reported? It's just, you get desensitized. And I found that I was getting way too desensitized. And this was, again, 2016 when I left. Things changed around then because I felt that change coming. And so I'm a sensitive person in the sense that I feel a lot of things. And I knew that it was time. I didn't really, you take things home, certainly with things with kids. Like there are a lot of stories that I've covered with kids that I still
you just
vividly remember. Yeah. But so yes, the answer is yes, for sure. You take things home.
I just don't think I could do it because I will sit in things for a while. And I'm the type of person where if I see something happen and for whatever reason I'm drawn to it, now I'm researching it and I'm going down a deep dive of what happened, and I will sit there and mourn whatever happened to them for them as well. So I feel like I could never do the hard news.
It depends. And where I'm working, where I was at 24-hour news station, and you constantly changing stories. Yeah. There are people who work on one story all day, and then is when you have time to ruminate and stew and to really. But I was just going from like
one thing to the next,
car issue to, weather to Justin Bieber's in town to, your emotions are just like, where we going, where we at, right? Yeah. So it's all over. But I definitely do think that a lot of the negative things played into me
having some mentally. Type of anxiety now with your child.
I just know, just know a lot.
I just want to protect her.
Yes.
There's 100. Too much going on in this world.
And you just layer up in everything. There's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing, Alicia.
No, it's bad weather for me. Let me tell you this. You would not catch me in one of those nutty storms, as Brandon Gomez said. You wouldn't. I'd be like, all right, yo, I'm done. Quit.
I know.
I have to move to, I don't know.
I know.
But Southern California.
It's just like a moment of time. And then the other time you're sitting in the truck, right?
Yeah, that's true. You do have the
hit
truck.
is like 3 minutes.
Yeah,
but
that's true. What was your aha, wait, I'm a mom moment?
I was talking to my husband about this coming down, and I was like, I don't know if I had an aha, wait, I'm a mom moment. And I was asking, did you have a wait, I'm a parent moment? And he's like, I don't remember.
It's all a blur sometimes. All a blur. I have multiple.
But, okay, give me some of yours, and then it'll help me.
I think it's one of them was in the summer, the first summer. And I was working, and people asked if I wanted to go and do something afterwards. And I was like, yeah, I'm like, wait, no, I can't do it because I'm a mom and my daughter's at home and I should probably go home because I just can't live a free life. Like those type of moments.
Right.
Doctor moments, not doctor, hospital moments. Nola got sick early 2023, January 2023, that landed her in the hospital for a while. And it I had a flashback to one time when my nanny was in, like my grandma, she was in the hospital, and we went to visit her. And I remember going to the bathroom and I'm like, yo, I hate hospitals. This is how I know that I'm not ready for kids, because you have to go to the doctors regularly and hospital visits and
Yes.
all the things,
And
because
you're like, wait, I gotta do this.
yeah. And so when she ended up in the hospital, I'm like, wow, I'm a mom. I'm doing what I hated to do. I have to sleep here in a
Yes.
hospital,
Yes.
crawling my big self, 6'1", crawling inside this little baby crib because she wants me to cuddle with her.
It's just,
It was a moment.
there's so many things.
Yeah.
100%. See, and for me, I was not present enough. Like, there's so many things I just wanted to write down more, to just express my feelings and how I really felt about certain things.
But you're just going.
But you're just going.
You're trying to survive.
You're just responding. You know. But now, exactly like I said, we're in a thriving. Like, even if things are not perfect in any way, shape, or form, there's a lot of tears. There's always still frustrations. But it's just the realizing that you can still have that joy, still have that the gratitude in those moments of imperfection. It's still that's the big thing for me. I don't know. I think I already told you about my wait mom moment when she was born, and I just felt that surety.
Yeah.
It's like, wait.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
But that's more like, wait.
I did it. I did it. Hey, wait, I'm a mom can be interpreted in different ways. Everybody has different emotions and different things to that. Some people are super excited about it. Some people are like,
exactly.
damn it,
And
I have to do it.
I
And
don't
you
want
know?
to make it sound like I was like, because I'm sure of that role.
Yeah.
But it still was very hard to
Yeah.
shake off the crazy ambitious, what's the next thing, the hustler vibe, like going from hustling to just like, oh, I guess we're just sitting here.
I think it's because you lived a full life. Like, you were able to do so much that you're like, okay,
I'm just gonna still continue.
Yeah, no. You're going to continue. But like, you know, when there's certain, I talked to my therapist about this before, even before I had a kid.
Yes.
It was always, I'd get somewhere and it'd be like, okay, what's next?
Yes.
Right. And I'd never be able to live in the moment. And that's because I was never content. And so she would preach to me, like, you got to learn how to be content wherever you are. So if nothing was to change, or you weren't able to keep climbing up that ladder, you have to be okay with it. And I think that you did so much because you had time. It's not like you had a baby in your early 20s and you feel like you missed a bunch of your 20s. You had a good chunk where you could live fully, you know,
100.
and then you brought a baby into your life and you're like, okay, now this is another part of it. And everything else will like mix and match to create this next phase of my life. So yeah, you're still going to live. You're going to have a beautiful life going forward. Indeed. But it's just different. You were like, okay, I've done this. I know I'm solidified in who I am. And I think that's why you're so sure with yourself.
Indeed.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm sure of the role of being her mom. But it's when the conflict, the battle between, again, I think it's not a popular thing to take the break. Like taking a break was really hard to step back.
Yeah.
Like, because we are always taught to just keep moving.
It's hustle culture. That's all it is.
Culture,
and hustle culture is like ghetto, to be honest, when you think about it.
I'm just this soft
Let me
life.
live like Europeans.
I am trying to just be that, but at the same time, still, you know, still make money, still be ambitious, still pursue dreams. There's a way. There has to be a way for you to. You can never have it all at the same time. We all know that it's a juggle. Like we all know that it's having various balls at one point, you know. But it's I don't like the I want to be soft.
I hear you. You're going to get your chef and your chauffeur just now. Don't worry.
Okay.
You're going to have all of it. I'm manifesting
Thank you. Thank you.
One other thing I wanted to ask was about a mama approved product, advice, tip, anything that you have done in the last few years that you feel like other moms and parents should know about.
There's so many things. I've been preaching over and over. I think you will always choose the right product if you are going on your own terms and using your gut and following your intuition. You will always choose what's best for you and your family. And just because I, as a mom, influencer, content creator, says that this cream worked for me, it may not work for you.
Yeah.
But it's like being able to try things and follow your own intuition. But I don't know. Ask me a category. What category? There's so many things, Alicia.
Okay, so for breastfeeding. Since
Breastfeeding?
you seem to be an expert. You've done it longer than the most.
Listen to me.
Do you have any type of maybe products that you use to make it feel better with like the cracking or whatever, or any type of...
Yeah, I like Medella's nipple ointment, which is like multi-purpose. Like you use it so many different places. That was helpful. I do like moringa in the tablet forms. That was really good for breast milk production.
Nice.
I thought that was helpful. Fenugreek is fine. The tea or the mommy.
Yeah.
That tea is good, but the moringa was huge for me. But what else about breastfeeding?
No, that's okay. There you go. You gave him mama approved. Okay. It was, the moringa.
Yes.
And nipple cream. The Medela one.
The Medela one.
Yeah. There we go. I want to give you your flowers, literally and figuratively, because you've inspired so many of us over these years. You have inspired so many people over these years, just being an amazing broadcaster and continuing your career through everything that I'm sure you have been faced with throughout it. And then now bringing in a beautiful little girl, Rain, and being so present for her and putting her needs first. I applaud you. And yeah, I'm just happy.
Girl.
And thank you, of course, for coming by. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm always so very proud of you.
Thank you.
I also have a little media chat group on WhatsApp, and we're always singing your praises. Like some OG media folks are like, listen, you're awesome.
I probably love all of you guys.
Yes.
I love that. Aw, thank you so much.
Big up.
But yes, thank you for coming. You guys, is there anything you want to shout out that...
Just the usual. Follow me on my Instagram, TikTok,
Ooh,
at Nneka Elliot. I'm always open to chat about whether it's what it's like to create content, living a multitasking kind of life. I do consulting when it comes to social media, as well as just traditional content stuff.
Yeah.
And
nice. Okay. Nneka Elliot, OG, appreciate it so much. You don't even understand. You already know what to do. I need you to subscribe on any platform that you're already like listening or watching this on. Make sure you like, comment, rate, because all of these things matter. We're trying to make this the best podcast ever. Okay. And that's a wrap for Wait, I'm a Mom.